Morning, all. All right, so we got 10 games tonight in the National Hockey League. It is going to be a busy one. And so we've got 4 games starting at 7 o'clock Eastern, one starting a half an hour later, two half an hour after that, one a half an hour after that, one a half an hour after that, and then an hour and a half break before the last one gets started. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty busy. 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific is the start time for Columbus and Toronto. Columbus 13-10 on the season, Toronto 17-7-2. Over their last 10, Columbus 5-5. They still one up, one down is basically how they've been running most of the season. They did win their last game. Away from home, it's been a bit more of a challenge for them. They're 4-7 away from home. Toronto, they're 7-2-1. They lost their last game in regulation, and they're 10-3-1 at home. So they'll be glad to be home. We'll see if they have a bounce back game against Columbus. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, the Tampa Bay Lightning in against the Montreal Canadiens. Tampa Bay 15-5-4, Montreal 6-17-3. It is a horrible record that Montreal has, but they've started their process of getting things figured out and their steps forward, and so fans are a little more forgiving now than they were, say, a week ago. Over their last 10, Tampa Bay is 7-2-1. They've won 3 in a row. Away from home, they're 7-2-2, so they're very good away from home. Montreal, well, it's kind of the opposite story. 2-7-1 in their last 10. They did have an overtime loss in their last game against Nashville, and at home, they're 4-8-1. So it's been tough. It has been a tough season. If you're a Montreal fan, it just seems to keep getting longer. We'll see how the rest of this season goes for them. They're 26 games in, so there's 50 a lot games left. So, we'll see what happens with that one. 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. The New York Islanders and the Ottawa Senators, two teams with really not great records. The interesting part is that right now on the power rankings board, Ottawa's ahead of the New York Islanders. The Islanders are 5-10-5. And over their last 10, they're 0-7-3. Away from home, they're 5-6-3. So away from home, their record is better. We've talked about their road trip to start the season and all that, and then the homestand was a disaster. The Ottawa Senators 4-6 in their last 10. They've won 3 in a row. At home, however, they're 4-8. So their home record isn't great. The difference is they've won 3 in a row. They have a chance to win 4 in a row for the first time since 2017. So that may take some of the heat off Pierre Dorion if they keep this going. We'll see what happens. 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific, Nashville in against Detroit. This one should be a lot of fun. Nashville's 13-10-1. For Detroit, they're 13-9-3. Over their last 10, Nashville's 5-5. They won their last game. Their season and Columbus's are very similar. Away from home, they're 5-5-1. Detroit, 6-3-1 on the season, or 6-3-1 in their last 10, I should say. They've won 5 in a row this year for the first time. And at home, they're 9-2-2. So Detroit is starting to look like Detroit before the rebuild. And Nashville plugging along. We'll see how this one goes tonight. Old division rivals in this one. So, this one should be a lot of fun to watch. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific is the start time for the Buffalo Sabres at home against the Anaheim Ducks. Anaheim coming off of a shootout loss last night. And again, Anaheim's playing well, and I know people may not be happy with some of the goals they're allowing. I've seen that comment a lot, but they're ahead of schedule. They weren't supposed to be 13-8-5 at this point in the season. For Buffalo, they're 8-13-3. Over their last 10, it's started to kind of fall back for Anaheim. They're 4-4-2, but their last 2 games were overtime losses / shootout losses too, and so they're still getting points, right? Away from home, they're 4-4-3, so it's definitely a bit tougher for them on the road than it is at home. For Buffalo, they're 2-7-1 in their last 10. They've lost 3 in a row in regulation, and at home, they're 6-6-1. So for Buffalo, their record is starting to look like what it was expected to be this season, and we'll see whether or not Anaheim can go in and beat them tonight. And if they don't, then Anaheim could find themselves falling out of a playoff spot. They do need teams behind them to get hot for that to happen too, though. At 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific, the Florida Panthers in against the St. Louis Blues. Blues right here. It's my Brett Hull jersey. So Florida 17-4-3 on the season. St. Louis 12-8-4. Over their last 10, Florida's 7-2-1. They have won 3 in a row. They have a harder time away from home, though. They're 3-3-3 away from home, so they've only won 3 out of 9. And then the St. Louis Blues are 4-4-2 in their last 10. Their last game was a loss after the 60 minutes were done in extra time. And at home, they're 7-3-1. So their record over their last 10 has not been great, but at home, they're pretty good. And we'll see how things work against Florida, because if Barkov does come back into the lineup, do we see Florida unexpectedly then have a loss? Because why not, right? 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific is also the start time for the Carolina Hurricanes and the Winnipeg Jets. Carolina 16-6-1, Winnipeg 12-8-4. Over their last 10, Carolina's a very human-looking 5-4-1. Away from home, they're an intimidating 9-3-1. The Winnipeg Jets 4-5-1 in their last 10, but they've won 2 in a row. At home, they're 9-3-1. So they're very good at home. Carolina's very good on the road. This should be a fun one too. Might be game of the night material right there. 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. The New York Rangers 16-4-3 in against the Chicago Blackhawks, who are 9-13-2. For the New York Rangers, over their last 10, they're 9-1. They've won 6 in a row. Away from home, they're 8-3-2. So it doesn't really matter whether they're at home or they're on the road. They're playing very, very well. They don't have to play Calgary again. Calgary's the one that gave them 2 of those blemishes on their record. Chicago 6-4 in their last 10. They did win their last game. And again, if they win 6 out of every 10, they're going to get themselves above 500, but they need to go on a really big run here if they want to get back into the hunt. At home, they're 5-5-1. So their record at home is better than that on the road, but again, they want to improve that as well. So we'll see how things go against the Rangers. I'm kind of half convinced that maybe this is like an upset on the way, because these teams met each other very recently. And so maybe we see an upset here. We'll see. 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. The Edmonton Oilers at home against Minnesota Wild. This may very well be the game of the night as well, because the Oilers are 16-7. The Minnesota Wild are 17-6-1. Over their last 10, Minnesota's 7-2-1. They've won 6 in a row. Away from home, they're 7-4-1. They've been playing very, very well. The Oilers 6-4 over their last 10. They've lost their last 2 games. At home, they're 9-2. And I think for the Oilers, it's really a matter of they use that transition, that fast break a lot. And I think teams have started to counter that. That's something that's happened with Carolina and Florida too, where some of the methods they used early in the season to rack up all these wins, teams have figured out a defensive strategy to shut some of that speed down. So Edmonton just has to figure this out. Montreal's done. Edmonton has to figure this out and fight their way through it. And they have the manpower to do it. So we'll see how this one goes tonight. Minnesota's a lot of fun. Kaprizov against McDavid. That's worth the price of the ticket alone. Then at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific, the Calgary Flames, 15-5-5, in against the San Jose Sharks, 13-11-1. Calgary over their last 10, they're 7-2-1. They did lose in regulation in their last game, but they've been very good for a while now. Away from home, they're fantastic, 11-3-2. The San Jose Sharks, 5-5 in their last 10. They did lose their last 2 games. Hard-fought games on the road, so the record doesn't show you, but they were hard-fought losses. At home, they're 5-4-1. So they haven't had that many games at home, and if they can establish themselves at home as going on a bit of a winning streak here, that could go a long way to getting them into the spot currently occupied by the Anaheim Ducks. So there you go. You guys are set for tonight's games. Let me know your thoughts and winners and all that in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.